This week's show brought to you by Roosters, a fun casual joint. Frank Shoup, Georgetown's big name in cars. The Insurance Store, Chenault & Hogue Incorporated.
Welcome everybody to the Scott County Cardinals Boys Basketball Coaches Show, brought to you by the News Graphic. It is getting close to crunch time here for Scott County. Been ranked number one most of the season, most of the polls, most of the rankings, one or two, depending on who you ask. With Trinity getting a loss at Madison Central last week, it has pretty much vaulted Scott County to number one in most people's minds. And that comes with the territory here for the Cards, but it also comes with a price. You're going to have everybody's best shot at you, as they found out last week a couple of times. It was a road trip, couple of big games back to back. One was the 42nd District game on Friday night against Frederick Douglass. That was a rematch of a game earlier in the season that was close for a half in Lexington. Not the case here at Scott County. In the second quarter, SC really ran away, took a big lead, and only expanded it in the third period on their way to an 88-44 victory. Diablo Stewart had a big night, 6 out of 8 from three-point land, but the bigger story perhaps going forward is that Cooper Robb landed awkwardly on his ankle late in the first half of that game, sprained it, and was not available for Saturday night when the Cards went to Taylor County. A rainy bus trip down, a rainy bus trip back, 4 hours total. And you're going into the belly of the beast when you're going to Taylor County. Big gym, and they were dedicating the floor in the gym that night to a legend, Clem Haskins, a graduate of Taylor County, who of course went on to great coaching career, Western Kentucky, University of Minnesota, went to a Final Four back in the 90s. Couple of games that night to celebrate Clem's legacy, and then Taylor County decided to invite Scott County to that, which is a strange situation to invite a team that you know is probably going to be the heavy favorite on a night like that. But Taylor County didn't back down. They led at the end of the first quarter. They led by 6 points late in the first half before SC went on a run, took the lead, and kind of fought back and won that game pretty convincingly. 15-point margin at the end, 67-52. I think Coach Hicks was concerned with, he was shorthanded in that game. Cooper out, Lorenzo Williams limited by a heel injury, so he basically had a group of 5 that was playing most of the whole game. And the other concern was Taylor County's ability to slow the game down. We've seen it on the girls' side this year, but Taylor County did it in that game. Coach's biggest problem was the fact that they were getting away with some things. I think when you go out of your region and see different officials, maybe you see a little different tolerance for things such as traveling, such as the 5-second violations in the backcourt, maybe a few offensive fouls that don't get called, and suddenly the home team feels a little bit empowered. And I think that's probably happened that night to keep that game a little closer than we might have expected it. But all in all, good road trip for SC to win that one and go to 21-1. And now the rematch. By the time you see this, it will already be in the books. A top 5 battle between Scott County and Bryan Station. We know just a week ago, SC won that one in comeback fashion, 72-58, before a full house in Lexington. They'll obviously be shorthanded if Cooper Robb can't play, so we'll see how that affects things. Big game in terms of district seeding. Scott County wants to wrap up that number 1 seed in the 42nd District, and hopefully things go well. If not, they'll get another chance on Friday night, but albeit another top 25 opponent in Henry Clay. Another game that SC won on the road earlier this year. These district games are stacked up at home here at the end, as SC played Douglass last week and then wraps it up with the other 2 public schools from Lexington that are in their district this week. So hopefully a chance for SC to finish off a 7-0 run. And then go into an interesting intersectional game on Saturday afternoon, 4:30 start against John Hardin. That'll be played at Lafayette High School in the Jock Sutherland Classic. Last year they played Southwestern out of Pulaski County in that one, but they'll be playing John Hardin, another team from that, I believe from the 5th region, and a team that'll give them plenty of challenge at a neutral site. So good preparation for the neutral site games that are coming up in the playoffs, and we will see how SC handles it. As we mentioned this past week, big one from Diablo Stewart, 17 points and 8 assists against Taylor County. Huge game from Michael Marino, 15 points, 19 rebounds, bunch of block shots. He's been turning up the assist total lately as well, and Michael was named Player of the Game, got presented that award by Clem Haskins after that game, which was a neat moment for him. Okay, Coach Hicks, we mentioned he had some interesting thoughts about that Taylor County game, and certainly On camera and off camera, we had some interesting conversations about injuries and how he's dealing with that and what he might do if this were a postseason situation. I think he's convinced that he could probably get Cooper available if it were March, but being only February and not being a win or else situation, you'll probably see him take it a little easy this week, at least in the Bryan Station game, and we'll see what the end of the week brings. But let's see what Coach Hicks had to say about SC's injury situation and it's the winning streak that it's on here in the state of Kentucky.
Scott County fought through injuries to grind out a win at Taylor County.
I'll tell you what, Cal, it was sort of you worry about things like that. Your worst fears is you head down through the stretch, number one, sprained ankles, and then you just don't want to end up getting a flu or a cold or some type of leg foot injury like Lorenzo had. So we went in last Saturday night with 2 of our top 7 players. We fell into a pretty good 7-man rotation, and 8 when Kobe gets going. That gives us 8 really good players that are ready to play, and others are too. But that gives us a good 8-man rotation. Boy, that's quickly cut down to 6 the other night. But I think we're back to 7 now, and Cooper Robb's ankle is he's walking around better on it today. And when I first saw it, I thought, God, he's going to be out a month. But again, we're very fortunate to have Dan Volpe as a trainer, and Dan does great work with these young men.
Thanks to certified trainers, today's teams are better equipped to handle the nagging ailments of a 30-game schedule.
I remember back in the old days, Cal, I'd go out behind the gym and rake up a bucket of snow and we'd try to put the foot in that snow and ice it and do things with it. And I remember I've taped 1 million ankles starting out, and actually you thought I was pretty good at it. Then I see now these professional guys like Dan and the staff that we have here with Dan and Frankie, and then over the years the great work that they do. And yeah, we're just so lucky because now when kids grow up, they don't have fingers that look like this. They're just broken and grown back, deformed, and everything. So it really, the behind the, so many behind the scenes with us. Like, Wade Calvert just does a great job of making sure that our uniforms are there on time, and what does a great job of preparing them. And all our guys got to do is show up and play. And the whole coaching staff, Chris and Tim, Dudley and Fred and Landry, they make it so much easier on everybody. We just got to all work together so everybody does their job.
The Cards gain valuable experience by playing an in-state road game outside the region.
They've got their guard back now really playing, and Stone, he's a really good guard, and it was a tough night with, like I said, not having Cooper, and it's good to play against different kind of styles. They pulled it out, had all intentions of, they'd like to have scored them in the single digits. And they were going to hold that thing and take their time and really be patient. And you can do that sometime. If you're playing an out-of-region team and you got a free pass on walking, a free pass on the 5-second call, and a free pass on charging, then everybody can get pretty good at holding the ball. That's what we ran into. But our guys stepped up. We made second half, we made some really good plays and was able to finally get the big cushion out there and everything. But the toughest part of that night might have been the trip. It was a long, rainy night. It rained all the way over there and it rained all the way back. And the kids got in late, and then, I'm just so proud of them, Cal, because then we came back. I hated like crazy to ask them to get out and practice yesterday. But they did. They came in, we worked. And then, therefore, today wasn't our first practice. Today was our second practice, and getting there from Bryan Station made a big difference. I thought we really looked good in practice today.
Scott County completed its sweep of Bryan Station in overpowering fashion.
It won't be the big crowd like we had at Bryan Station. We'll have our crowd here. Scott County people will be here in numbers and everything, but Bryan Station, they'd be lucky to bring 50 people tomorrow night. It would be biggest. If it brings 50 people, it'd be the biggest crowd they've ever brought here, because people in Lexington will not come up here to watch basketball games, and they'll get a few families and stuff, but that'd be the biggest difference. The second difference will be is that you know, we may have over prepared for them a little bit and had our kids maybe thinking too much starting the game. We got to do this to stop Boone. We got to do that to stop Boone. And we really, and Boone's a heck of a player. He's really a fine guard. But now, you know, our system, we shouldn't have to adjust to stop people. It's made to stop people, our defensive system. And so we'll get back to our basics and like we did at halftime. You know, halftime, we just said, hey, you know, we're going to play straight up, man, our heat, you know, and we'll do a lot more of that this time rather than trying to have everybody sagging off and trying to prevent Boone from driving. You know, we want to prevent him from driving, but we're not going to just pull everybody out of position to do that.
This week's docket continues the Cards' trend of playing the most challenging schedule in Kentucky.
We got 3 top 25 teams, and I don't think anybody year in and year out even comes close to us as playing as many top 25 teams in the state. Because you look at it, and heck, we played probably half of them, you know, on schedule, and that's, you know, and again, that goes with being the program that we've had and the success we've had over the years, and so we want to play those teams, and it just so happened this year they're all pretty good. The LCA won the All-A, which is a good accomplishment for them, as they should be proud of that. But yeah, you look at the top 25. You know, probably 2/3 of them are from the 11th and 7th regions, or more. it's a 7th region, 11th region, you know, and then it's like that. It's like that year in, year out.
Most of Scott County's 26 consecutive home wins have come at the expense of 11th region opponents.
Lexington has always been a basketball community. It goes back way before I was born. You know, they've always had great high school basketball down there, and Scott County, you know, you look at our history and tradition. We weren't always in the 11th region, but we was in the 10th region, 8th region. But Scott County's always had good basketball. You know, even back before Toyota come in and we had the big school, you had guys like, you know, Johnny Cannon and Jack Wise, and you know, all these guys are just, I can go on and on. These guys are really, really outstanding basketball players, and that is the foundation that this program is based on. That's why when I'm long gone from here, they're going to be good basketball. When I'm gone and we're gone, Connor and them guys, they'll keep right on digging. But again, that's just the pride that they have in Central Kentucky, and in particular Lexington and Scott County.
This week's guests still have room to improve in one key area as they make a push for varsity playing time.
You know, Cal, the thing about it is they have the offensive skills. They have the basic basketball, the fundamentals and stuff to play, and they just haven't made that big leap yet defensively. You know, as being a part of our system, to know how we move together, and that's their deficit in defense, and you'll see that in the next year. They'll step it up. They'll step it up, and those guys. There's some of those guys like KJ and Taryn. Those guys are really gonna be helping us. Maybe this year, their defense is getting better. I thought today's practice, I thought KJ's defense looked better and Taryn's looked better, and I've told him that the only thing that's keeping you all from really, and there's a lot of kids in that category. Michael McKenzie, Neil, Aaron, Jalen, is your defense. You know, you've got to bring it a little better on defense to be able to go out there and guard top 10 teams in the state. But they have the offensive skills. They have the fundamentals to do that, and that's the hardest part to get down. Now defenses, that's just, now they got to want to become a good defensive player.
All right, that was Coach Hicks, and as he mentioned in his comments, he's kept the bench a little short here with the injuries. Only basically played 5 guys down at Taylor County, and it's interesting because if you've seen the JV team, they're incredibly successful. I believe their record is 14-2 going into the Bryan Station game on Tuesday night. Got some guys that can really fill it up. KJ Tucker from outside, down low. They've got Terran Hamilton and Jalen Barber, but it's been one of those cases where Coach hasn't really been willing to give those guys a ton of time, meaningful time anyway, in the varsity games. Usually you get them in at the end when the game is well in hand. But he explained that. A lot of it has to do with defense, and the players we spoke to this week agree that that's an area where they want to step it up. But a couple of members of the so-called white team in practice that gives the starters such a challenge. They're unsung heroes every year, and we want to give a couple of those guys some airtime. So let's see what KJ Tucker and Taryn Hamilton had to say about the season today.
The 11th region learned this week that it will match up with the 7th region in the first round of the Sweet 16.
As we go down the stretch, I feel like we'll do pretty good in regionals. We might have a small problem with Trinity, but we should be able to beat them. Cooper should come back. We should be all right.
Oh yeah, we just gotta keep playing as a team. Just be unselfish on offense, run our sets, and just play defense as a team. Of course, keep everybody healthy. That's one thing. Just hope Cooper gets back soon, and I think we'll have a good shot.
The Bryan Station win helped the Cards wrap up the #1 seed in the 42nd District playoffs.
The keys would be pushing the ball, probably finishing, and playing really good D.
Oh, one thing you gotta keep your composure. The stands usually fill up in the district games, and really just gotta play and just kind of zone everybody out and just do our thing.
Both Taryn and KJ have aspirations of cracking the lineup later this season and especially next year.
In the next year, I look forward to either starting or being like 6th or 7th man off the bench. I don't particularly want to play JV next year because I feel like my skills would be much better on the varsity team.
Down the stretch, coming into tournament time, I want to be able to get in there and help them as much as I can. The next year when I come back, I want to be a big part of that and just do all I can for Coach Hicks.